Namaste. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Shal Gulhati, Shiva and Mysticism for another episode of Monday with Mahadev. Usually, the videos that I make for you are in two categories. The first is about stories of Shiva, and the second is about his philosophy, his wisdom. And many of these so called wisdom videos are about very usual things in our day to day life, our mundane life. I have made videos about scratch cards, I have made videos about a card game, made videos about UTI trusts, mutual fund trusts, and so on. This is because when we really understand things as they are, we can begin to see Mahadev or his message in everything, even in our day to day routine. Actually, that is the real objective, that we don't only see Mahadev when we are sitting in satsang or bhajan or reading some sacred text, but that we begin to see him or his message, his voice everywhere. So today, I am going to talk to you about something which many of us are very familiar with, and which is traveling by air, or airport travel, or aeroplane travel. Now, when we go from one place to another by air, they know that the world over there is a particular routine, especially today in the security sense and the norms that airport authorities have. The first thing is that when we want to enter an airport, we have a security check. And in that security check, they ask you for the ticket and they ask you for an ID, an identification. And we all diligently do that, otherwise, we will just not get into the airport and the story will finish right there. So, the analogy here is quite simple. If we want to embark on a spiritual journey, we need to have our ID in place, and there the ID would mean our bhakti, our devotion. What sort is it? Where are we from? Are we in Bhakti Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Raj Yoga? Are we in sort of prayer? Are we in satsang? Are we in meditation? Do we do japa? Do we do some kind of chant? So this is the ID process. Once we are through with that, yes, we have the right ID, we have the right permission to walk into the airport. Then we usually go to the ticket counter and try and get our luggage on and get a seat for ourselves. And here, if you are doing especially international travel, on a ticket is not easily written that you are going to San Francisco or you're going to New York. There is just a 3 or 4 letter code. And unless you are aware of that code, like if you want to travel, let's say to Dubai, it is written not Dubai but DXB. So unless you are familiar with that code, you might well land up in a wrong queue. So this one, the analogy is that we must know where we are headed for from our sacred texts. We must be able to decode something of the spiritual journey of Mahadev. And there is a sutra in the Shiva Sutras which says, Gyan Adhishtan Matrika, seated in our very world of mundane things, is the mother, the holy mother, Mother Nature, goddess Durga, but she's unknown to us. And then there is a procedure of how we study and get to know what she is about, what the cosmic cycle is about. And that would be the same as being able to know that DXB would mean Dubai. After we get our tickets, we finally board the plane and we want to be seated with our partner. If a husband and wife or a family, father, son, daughter, mother are going, we want to be seated together. This, of course, is very natural. If we are undertaking a spiritual journey, we may be going alone, but the result of that, the bliss which we get, the darshana which we get, we want to be able to share with our family and our loved ones. What would heaven be without those whom we love? And then when we are seated and the plane is about to take off, the air hostess comes and she gives us some instructions, many of which we think we already know, like fasten seat belts and all that kind of stuff. And then there is one announcement which says if there is turbulence in the air and the cabin pressure gets altered, the oxygen mask will drop from the ceiling. And the injunction is take the mask and put it on yourself first, and thereafter try to help another person. Now, this is again a very serious spiritual analogy. It is only when we have embarked on our journey, when we know how to put on our mask in case of turbulence, when we know how spirituality works in the mundane world, that we can reach out to our loved ones and help them as well. And then, when finally the plane takes off, and supposing you have a window seat and you are in a terrain where there are mountains, the flight begins. And there is always that moment when you're looking out of the window, seeing lofty mountains or a great ocean. And no matter if there are 200 or 300 people in your plane, when you are looking outside your window, when you are seeing your scenery, when you are getting the darshan, there is that feeling of at one-ment. You are in so much peace because the flight has taken off and you're high in the sky and you're looking at the clouds, the sky, the mountains, and you feel one with it. So this is when your spiritual journey actually takes off. Everything has been done correctly and you are cruising at a high altitude. This is also called the spiritual flight. I hope you remember these things next time you're doing air travel. Join me again next Monday and I will be back with yet another Shiva wisdom for you. Om Namah Shivaya.